Hello, my name is Matthias, and welcome to the FPL Scope and the weekly wildcard draft for Game Week 23, where I try to select what I think is the best squad to have in Fantasy Premier League going forward in the next few game weeks. And the difference this time is the fact that I've actually activated the wildcard chip myself. I'm currently on my wildcard, so this is my wildcard squad as it stands right now. That's why I have 15 out of the 15 players that I will present to you guys right now. And I'm going to present it to you the same way that I always do in these videos, because I do the weekly wildcard draft series. Every single game week, I make a wildcard draft for you guys to show you basically what the best team is currently in FPL, at least in my opinion. But yeah, this time it's going to be my own team. But as always, I'm going to present it to you the same way as I always do, with the number one player that I present to you guys being the player that I think is the most important player to have currently in FPL. And the 15th player, the last man in the squad, is basically simply that, the last man in the squad, the last guy to make it into my 50-man squad at the moment in time. But I'm going to update this throughout the week before the game week starts, because I'm obviously on my wildcard myself. So the final weekly wildcard draft, or the final wildcard draft for Game Week 23, is going to be in my team selection video, or potentially even on my Twitter or X profile if I make changes between the team selection video and the deadline, basically. But yeah, I'm going to update you through the week, but this is my current squad as it stands right now, starting with number one, which is Gabriel from Arsenal, actually, this time. I've gone with a different number one this time, maybe to spur on my former number one pick, who I'll get to eventually. But Gabriel is just such a given in FPL currently. Like, clean sheets, goals, all the bonus potential. I've talked about Gabriel this whole season, apart from the few game weeks where he was missing. But when he's back now, he is just he's an absolute beast of a player. And I don't really need to sell you on him anyway, because Arsenal are currently the best team in the league. It seems like they're going to win the title, in my opinion. And Gabriel is a huge reason for that. Defensively, he's amazing. Scoring goals, he's amazing from set pieces. He is just an amazing player overall, and especially in FPL this season, he is just essential, even for a really high price of 6.8 now. He started at 6.0 this season, and he has, for good reason, gone up to 6.8, which is, kind of crazy. But he is worth the price, and he comes in at number one. He's even potentially a good captaincy option in Game Week 26 or Game Week 27, which might be a double game week. We still don't know yet if that's going to be the case, but it seems likely if Arsenal go through in the League Cup to the final, which seems more likely now since they beat Chelsea 3-2 at Stamford Bridge. They're most likely going to get a double game week in Game Week 26 or Game Week 27, and Gabriel might be the best captaincy choice actually in that game week as well. So yeah, Gabriel, just a simple choice at number one, really, because he is just fantastic. He is in form as well, which is something that I can't say about the former number one pick, who I'll get into eventually, because he's still in the squad, but he's dropped down to number three. Because number two, I have Fernandes. Just the way Manchester United looked against Manchester City was absolutely fantastic. Of course, now after watching Man City in the Champions League against Bodø/Glimt, which is from my country of Norway, which my team in Norway actually beat Bodø/Glimt like 2 months ago, just about. So yeah, kind of crazy that they just beat Man City. But I think that might tell you something about Man City currently, which is why I'm like a bit hesitant when it comes to Man United. Maybe they're not that good as they looked in that game against Man City, because Man City might just be on a downturn now because they are exhausted. But they did absolutely everything right, and Bruno Fernandes was the main reason for that. He was involved in absolutely everything. He looks like an essential player in FPL. He's been really good this season overall, and that's with Ruben Amorim, with Man United struggling. But now it seems like they're firing on all cylinders, and Fernandes is in the middle of it. He's DEFCON potential, penalty taking, bonus potentially super high, goals, assists. Like, he has everything, and he even has good matches after the Game Week 23 fixture against Arsenal. So yeah, Fernandes, fantastic pick, and he comes in at number two in this draft. Number three is the former number one pick, and that is going to be Erling Braut Haaland. The fixtures are really good still. That's the huge plus with him. But Man City, like I said, they are really struggling right now, and I'm wondering if that's like a permanent thing, like if they're just exhausted, or if it's just they've had a bad run of fixtures and simply some bad luck and stuff. And they are obviously getting some reinforcements, who I'll talk about as well eventually in this video, so maybe that will help them. But they are looking pretty bad, and Haaland himself is looking pretty bad. Missed some pretty good chances for Manchester City against Bodø/Glimt as well. So yeah, he's just completely out of form. He was so good at the start of the season, but now he's blanked in like 4 out of the last 5 or something, or even 5 out of the last 6 games in the Premier League. So yeah, don't really know what's happening with Haaland, but he has a really good opportunity now against Wolves at home. And honestly, there's not really too much to use the money on, and he's still like too dangerous to go without, because all of a sudden he scores a hat-trick and you're going to be so far behind in the rankings if you don't have him at that point. But the last 5 game weeks or so, if you're going without Haaland, then, or especially if you still have him, but you still captain someone else potentially, you could have gained a lot of points compared to everyone else because he's just been blanking every single game week now. But with the fixtures being as good as they are, especially this Wolves at home fixture, don't really see anyone other than him being the best captaincy choice this game week, unless it would be a different Man City player potentially. So yeah, Haaland is still a great pick, of course, but he has been in pretty bad form, and I'm curious to see if Man City are just like struggling right now, or if it's just like been a bad spell of fixtures. We'll see eventually, but the Wolves fixture will tell us a lot. Wolves are kind of on the upswing, but they're still a team that Man City will be very likely to beat handedly at home, and they need to make a statement now because they've been really struggling lately. So we'll see what Haaland does, but he still comes in at number 3 in this draft. Number 4, we have Declan Rice. I was tempted to pick him also above Haaland, which is going to be the case for the player of the season. Once Arsenal win the league this season, it's going to be Declan Rice who is the player of the season. And I've been telling you guys, or maybe not you guys, but I've been saying for such a long time as a West Ham fan, watching Declan Rice grow up as a player in West Ham, like I always knew he had sky high potential, and now he is literally the best player in the league right now. So yeah, he's amazing in FPL as well. Like, he is involved in everything. Even this past game week where Arsenal struggled and they didn't manage to score, at least they had a lot of chances, Rice was still involved in pretty much every single big chance they had, whether that was from an assist or from potentially a finish as well from Rice. Like, he is involved in everything, and he's one of the main reasons that I have actually wildcarded to downgrade from Saka to Rice, save myself a lot of money, and spread that money around to a lot of different players. Those are some of the main reasons why I did actually wildcard, which I'll get into more in the team selection video on Friday. But yeah, Declan Rice is fantastic, of course. He's been the highest scoring midfielder so far this season, unless Fernandes overtook him now. I don't know. It's pretty close between the two, and they're really good. They have really good fixtures, and they seem to be in really good form as well. Declan Rice even got to rest as well against Inter in the Champions League, played only 30 minutes there, so that's really good for his minutes going forward. While Saka played the whole game, I think, or at least like he started the game. So yeah, Declan Rice, really good player. Really happy to have him in the squad as well. Finally, in FPL, I'm going to have Declan Rice, and he's going to be such a good pick at number 4. Number 5, we have another Arsenal player in Urian Timber. Like I mentioned previously with Gabriel, it seems likely that they will get a double game week in either game week 26 or game week 27, because that will be a midweek where they don't have Champions League to worry about, because they are going to go through as basically the top of the Champions League. They have won 7 out of 7 games. They have Kairat Almaty in the final game at home. They're going to be top of the Champions League, and they're going to go through without having to play those playoff games. So they are most likely going to get a double game week in game week 27 or game week 26. And that's why I really want to have triple Arsenal for that matter. But yeah, Timber has been slightly disappointing since I brought him in like pretty early in the season after he got his major haul against Leeds. But he does face Leeds now pretty soon, and he's just an Arsenal defender, which is always going to be a good thing in FPL. He even got an assist now against Inter, so he is still contributing offensively, still someone that can get a lot of clean sheets and bonus points and all that extra good stuff, even some DEFCON points from time to time, which has been a nice surprise from Arsenal defenders this season. So yeah, Timber, he's my favorite third Arsenal pick. There are some other good options, I guess. Saka as well, but he's just a bit too expensive. Like, I prefer to go with Timber, who is a safe option in defense, who can still contribute offensively. So that's why I really like him and have him as the number 5 pick in this draft. Number 6, we have Thiago, and I was like a bit hesitant with him. I had him 10th last week, and he blanked against Chelsea. Didn't really have any big chances either, but I just looked through the numbers, and Brentford are just a really good team. Even against Chelsea, they had 2 massive chances where they missed. Like, Kevin Shaw should have had 2 goals in that game. And Thiago is always in those good positions. Brentford are one of the best attacking teams in the league. I think they're like 5th for XG the whole season, and the last 6 game weeks, they're number 1 for XG. So Brentford are just looking amazing. Nottingham Forest at home in this first game for Thiago. And then he's just someone that you can just keep long term. He's just underpriced, like, by far, because Brentford are much better than anticipated. Thiago is much better than anticipated, and those players are just really important to have in FPL. So after looking through the numbers, I was thinking about potentially going without him in this wildcard draft, but after looking at it like more deeply, I'm just pretty secure when it comes to Thiago being my team. He's the number 6 pick for that reason, because he's like pretty high in the rankings there. He just seems to be too good to be passing up on this time around this season. As a penalty taker as well, they always hunt for penalties. They had a couple penalty shouts against Chelsea as well, and they looked really good in that game. Even though they lost 2-0, they were really unlucky not to score. Really massive game from Robert Sanchez, and Kevin Shaw should have done a lot better offensively with Thiago. He has shown that he can just all of a sudden explode and get a hat-trick from nowhere. And it's really not from nowhere either, because Brentford have a lot of attacks each game week, but they also have a lot of players in the box. So sometimes the ball falls to Shade, sometimes the ball falls to Thiago. And yeah, XG doesn't really account for all of that, but still his XG, like underlying numbers, are also really good. Thiago, and he's the penalty taker, and he's just a really safe option to have in general. Also for the long term, the next 4 fixtures aren't ideal, apart from the Nottingham Forest game, but after the Arsenal fixture in, game week 23, 24, 25, 26. From game week 27 onwards, they have really nice fixtures, Brentford, and that's where you want to have Thiago long term, especially since you're wildcarding now, or I'm wildcarding now. I want to have him for the long term. I don't want to use another transfer to bring him in eventually, because he's going to be a really nice option, even if it doesn't perform in the next few games. But even in the next few games, Nottingham Forest at home should be a really good opportunity for him. Aston Villa away, they are showing some signs of weakness now. Aston Villa, that could still be a decent game. Then Newcastle away and Arsenal at home aren't the best fixtures, but of course, you can always bench him as well, because you could have a really strong squad. So yeah, Thiago, I just really like him. He is just really good value, so he comes in at number 6 in this draft. Number 7, I've gone for Antoine Semenyo for Man City, and the main reason for that is the fact that he's not eligible to play in the group stage in the Champions League, so he's not going to play in the Champions League for a long while. Now they lost against Bodø/Glimt, so maybe they will have to go through the playoffs after all, but it seems like they're going to be still able to secure a top 8 finish and like forego the playoff round entirely. And if that's the case, they won't play until March in the Champions League. And Semenyo will be able to rest anyway in the next game week that they have in the Champions League. So for the next few fixtures, I think they're really good. Semenyo is also someone with really high upside. The other big thing with Semenyo is the fact that, yes, Man City's squad are really tired. They played so many games so far this season, and they played with the same starting lineup the whole time. But for Bournemouth, Semenyo has played way less games than Man City have played, so he's way more fresh than the rest of the Man City squad. So I think he's going to be a really good asset to have, especially against Wolves at home now. I think he's going to be a really nice player. But there are some variations of the team where I don't have Semenyo potentially, but I think for the Wolves game especially, I just want to have him for that one game week. I want to double up on the City attack, just in case they are really good still, and it's just a blip that they've had now the last few game weeks. They could still be an amazing team. We don't know. They might just be slightly exhausted, but I think with Semenyo and Guéhi as well coming in now, they're going to get a bit of a boost, and they're going to be a bit better in the next few game weeks, and they have some really nice fixtures. So Semenyo, I think the fact that he doesn't play in the Champions League, he's going to be rested for those games while all the other City players are playing, and then he's going to come back and be available to play. I think he's going to play a lot of fixtures for Man City, and for his price at that point, he's going to be a really good asset. So I think he's a really nice player to have, and I have him as the number 7 pick in this draft. Number 8, we have Mukiele from Sunderland. I did sort of think about not having him, but again, it's the same as with Thiago. He's just completely undervalued, still at 4.4. I brought in Alderete myself this past game week, and then, of course, straight away, I get the lesson learned that Mukiele is just a better asset, because he gets an assist, he gets bonus points, and he gets DEFCON points more so than Alderete. So Alderete got 1 point, Mukiele got 6 points. And that's just the price difference that you pay for with 4.4 compared to 4.1. Could still go for Alderete, or potentially even Reinildo at 3.8. That's even cheaper for the same defense, like a player from the same defense. But Mukiele with the goal and assist threat, and also the bonus potential, which is higher, and also the DEFCON potential, which is higher, I just prefer to spend extra money, even though it's not even that much money. 4.4 is a very low price. So with the next 2 fixtures being really good as well, West Ham and Burnley, he's just a safe and sound player to have in the squad. Someone that I wish I had earlier. Definitely should have had him on the wildcard that I did in game week 15. It's kind of crazy that I did it such a short time ago, and now I'm here back again using a wildcard. But yeah, part of the reason is to rectify past mistakes, and not having Mukiele was one of those mistakes, because he was 4.2 at that point as well. So yeah, really want to have him long term. I think I can have him for the rest of the season. He's just a really good asset, because Sunderland are just a really good team, and now they're getting all their African players back as well. Sadiq is coming back. Habib Diarra, who played really well in the first 3 or 4 games of the season, and then he got injured. He's going to be another big boost to that squad. So I think Sunderland are for real, and I think Mukiele is for real. He's one of the best players in the league this season defensively, especially in FPL for his price. So yeah, he comes in at number 8 as well, because yeah, he is just a really solid player that I want to have for a really cheap price as well. Number 9, we have Kroupi Jr. He's going to be a really good asset, I think, going forward, because it seems like Tavernier had to be subbed off now with an injury against Brighton after scoring a penalty. But Kroupi Jr. really wanted to take that penalty himself. And with Tavernier out of the picture, Semenyo gone to City, seems like Kroupi Jr. is going to be next in line to take penalties. And if he's a penalty taking, starting, potentially 70 plus 90-minute guy for Bournemouth at 4.6, he's just too good value to pass up. So yeah, I want to have him included in the squad. He is looking really good at the moment, especially for his price. So yeah, he comes in at number 9, because I think he's just a really nice cheap enabler who's going to play a lot of minutes and be someone that you can just bench most game weeks, but you can also use him whenever you need him to play. So yeah, he's a really nice enabler there at a really cheap price, especially if he's on penalties. He's going to be fantastic value at 4.6. So he comes in at number 9. Number 10, we have Daniel Muñoz from Palace. That's one of the other reasons that I wanted to wildcard. I wanted to get some players that a lot of people won't be able to buy. Muñoz is someone that is most likely going to blank in Gaming 31, but he has some really nice fixtures. Even starting now, like Chelsea at home could still be a good fixture. We don't really know how they look under Miley Senior yet. They did have a good result against Brentford, but they were quite lucky to win that game. So, yeah, Palace, the downside with Muñoz, which is why I'm like slightly hesitant to have him in the squad, is the fact that, yes, he's back just now from knee injury. He's most likely going to be back ready to play against Chelsea, but maybe not 90 minutes or maybe not even starting. But yeah, both Muñoz's fitness and also just Crystal Palace being on a really big downturn without Gahey, for example. That's why I'm a bit hesitant. But we know the top level of Muñoz, the way he started the season, he was absolutely magical in FPL terms. He was fantastic. He had both goal threat and defensive potential in terms of clean sheets. So I do really like that upside. So that's why I'm really intrigued with him. But he is quite expensive, 5.8 at this moment in time. And he plays for a team that is on a downward spiral. And he's also straight back from a knee injury. So there are some risks with him. But I think the upside is like too tantalizing to go away from. But I could potentially swap him out as well. But he comes in at number 10 just because he has such high upside, I think, still. Because he's a really fantastic player, and he's probably going to help Palace get back to better results as well. With Ismail Assar coming back from African Cup of Nations also, that's going to help them offensively. So I think that will be a little bit better going forward, at least. And Muñoz could be a big benefactor from that, and he comes in at number 10 for that reason. Number 11, we have Sanchez in goal. Struggled to fit in a Chelsea defender. There are quite a lot of defenders that I do like in terms of the backline, so figured how to get Chelsea players in. Sanchez in goal, it seems like a good decision. He's going to have good fixtures going forward. Assuming they get knocked out of the League Cup in the semi-final against Arsenal, will be quite the comeback to beat Arsenal away at the Emirates to get to the final. If they don't reach the final, they're going to play in Gaming 31, and he's going to be a pretty good player to have in that game week. And yes, the fixtures that are coming up now for Chelsea are just absolutely amazing. Palace away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Leeds at home. Could be some really nice clean sheets there. And long term, I think Sanchez has shown to be a pretty good goalkeeper this season overall as well. So I do quite like him as the goalkeeper. But I could also downgrade him entirely and have just a really cheap goalkeeper in Dubravka. His next fixtures are also pretty good. Tottenham at home, Sunderland away, West Ham at home, Palace away. Those teams are not the best offensively. So Dubravka could be the option potentially as a standalone player. But for now, I do prefer Sanchez. I do want to have a bit of that Chelsea defense, and I think it's easier to get the goalkeeper in rather than having a defender, because I think there are quite a lot of good defenders to choose from right now. So yeah, I've gone with Sanchez as the starting goalkeeper, Dubravka as always as the backup goalkeeper, the only 4.0 goalkeeper that plays every single game week, and you can rely on him in case, for example, if Sanchez all of a sudden had a couple stinkers and was dropped for some reason. I don't think that's going to be the case from what it seems like. It seems like Liam Senior is a huge fan of Sanchez from what he's said in quotes and stuff. But just in case that happens, if something happens to Sanchez and he has to be dropped, Dubravka is ready to step in, and that's why I quite like him at 4.0, especially with the fixtures that he has. So you could go with Dubravka. I could potentially just downgrade Sanchez and save even more money to beef up my squad elsewhere, but I think I just want to have that Chelsea defense. So I have Sanchez at 11 and Dubravka as number 12 as my goalkeepers in this draft. Number 13, I have gone with Patrick Dorgu for Man United. Did not expect him to be part of the squad when I did activate the wildcard chip on Saturday. That was after the game actually against Man City. But he just looked absolutely amazing against Man City. Playing at left wing there for Man United. Don't really know if that's going to be a long-term thing. That's why I'm like a bit hesitant with him. That's why he's down at number 13, because I don't really trust him to play every game for Man United. But if he is the preferred option at left wing for Michael Carrick at 4.2 or 4.3 now, he's going to be tremendous value. Playing out of position, a really good attacking player. He scored this game week against City, going into the box. He crosses the ball. Like, he is a really good offensive player. And if he can get clean sheets on top of that for 4.3 for a really good Man United side that seems to be going to go into a good run of form now, his value is just too high to pass up, really. So I just want to have him there just in case I want him. Of course, you don't really need to have him. He's really cheap, so it's going to be easy to buy him eventually if he looks the part if he still looks to be like a starting player for Man United. But I just feel like I don't want to waste the transfer. And if he doesn't play, he's just going to be someone that I can just have on the bench and bench him for 4.3. Like, it's not that big of a price. Like, I've even bought him at 4.2, so yeah, I can just keep him on the bench if he doesn't play. If he does play, he's going to be an amazing asset. So I think it's just too much to pass up. I don't think the downside is too high either, or too low, depending on how you look at it. So I think he's just a pretty safe option to have as a backup defender at worst, and as a really, really, really good defender at best. So yeah, I think the upside is just too high to go without Dorgu currently for his price. So yeah, he comes in at number 13 for those reasons. Number 14, this is a bit of a different one. It is Cole Palmer. The fixtures are just too good to pass up, but I am potentially looking at not having Palmer in the squad because he didn't look the part against Brentford. Yes, he scored a penalty, but he barely even celebrated. He seems like he's still struggling with a groin injury. The reason that I'm like leaning slightly more and more towards having him in the squad is the fact that there were reports from The Athletic that he is actually 100% medically cleared. It's just he's working himself back into match fitness. And if that's the case, if he's just getting back into match fitness, he's going to be back to his best with the fixtures that he has. It just seems like too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially on a wildcard when you have the chance to bring him in. So yeah, I think there are some other good midfielders that I'll get to eventually that I do want to include in the squad as well. But I think Palmer, just like the upside is too much. Like I want to rather go with Palmer now and sell him if he looks awful or if he gets re-injured or something like that. It's easier to sell Palmer than to bring him in if he looks amazing. Like if he has great game against Palace now and looks back to his best, you would really want him against West Ham at home in the next game because he's potentially a really good captaincy option that week if he can prove his fitness and his form against Palace. So I'm leaning towards just having him because it's easier to downgrade him than to upgrade to him. So I do kind of prefer to have him in the squad right now, but I just have some doubts with how he's looked. Like he hasn't looked himself this whole season. He's been back for a long while now, and he hasn't really produced like the best numbers either. But the fixtures, the potential upside there is just too much to go away from. And I think like if he looks awful against Palace, I could potentially sell him after that. But I'm most likely going to keep him for West Ham. I'll get to the other midfielder that I'm considering, or the two other midfielders I'm considering on the Cusp section. But for now, I just think I can't really go without Palmer, especially on the wildcard. But I am tempted because it would be a better squad if I go without him. But I do think like the enablers that I have in Kroupi Jr, for example, and potentially Dorgu, Mukiele for a cheap price, like I think I have a strong enough team to do. Yeah, anyways, I'm kind of lost my train of thought there. But anyways, Palmer, just the upside is just too tantalizing, and it's going to be too hard to get him if I go with a different route. Like I probably, like if I don't buy him for the wildcard, probably going to go without him entirely. And that just feels a bit too risky with the fixtures that he has, and also the reports that he's medically 100% fit, ready to play. Because yeah, it seems like he's struggling with his groin still. Seems like his injury problems aren't really a thing of the past, but they might be. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Palmer. Maybe he's just out of form because he has been struggling with fitness this season. But we'll see with Palmer. Still not sure if I'm going to have him or not. That's why he's number 14, but the upside is just too much for me. I want to include him in the squad for the weekly wildcard draft. So yeah, he's at number 14. At number 15, since I have Palmer, I need to have a backup midfielder basically, or a really cheap bench midfielder, and that's going to be Lewis Miley. He didn't start this past game week. He's been starting a lot of games lately, playing 90 minutes pretty much every single game week. But now with all the fullbacks back and the midfielders back, he could be dropped from time to time. So I'm not like entirely enthused with Miley. He's been pretty good for the past few game weeks. I really wish I brought him in rather than Potts when I brought in a backup midfielder a couple game weeks ago. But I'm not like entirely sold on him. He's mostly just going to be on the bench. But you want to have players that can play in Game Week 31 as well. And I'm slightly less sure about Miley starting in Game Week 31 now than I was a couple or like before last game week basically, because he was dropped this past game week. But maybe it's just him getting a rest. Who knows? But I'm slightly more hesitant when it comes to his playing time now. So yeah, not too sure about him, but of course he's just a bench player. I have a really strong squad, especially if Dorgu plays. Kroupi Jr is looking likely to play, and all the other players are playing as well, assuming Palmer and Muñoz are back healthy and ready to play as well. So yeah, I think you can afford to have another bench option in Miley, who again could still be a 90 minutes or 70 plus minutes starter for Newcastle anyway. So yeah, decent option as a cheap enabler basically at number 15 in this draft. He's also one of the new players. He has a green, his name is in green basically, alongside Semenyo, Muñoz, Dorgu, and Sanchez. That's 5 players that are new since last time. That means 5 players have dropped out. So let's talk about those 5 guys before I talk about some of the other players and variations of the squad that I'm considering as it stands right now with the wildcard. So yeah, one of the players that have dropped out is Ryan Cherky. He played again like now in the Champions League. It seems like in the Premier League he's just been shunned away now. He hasn't started the last 2 or 3 games I think for Man City. I think Semenyo is just a better value prospect now because he's more guaranteed playing time in the league because he can't play in the Champions League. So yeah, I think that upgrade from Cherky to Semenyo just makes a lot of sense. He's the one that I would consider, or I have considered a lot the last few game weeks, but the playing time is just not good enough as it stands, and I think Semenyo is going to be better in that regard. So yeah, I've dropped Cherky since the last wildcard drafting game in 22. For Bruggen in goal as well, I just wanted to fit in Sanchez, and for Bruggen, I think Brighton are still a decent team, and for Bruggen is still really good value at 4.5, but I just really wanted to have Sanchez, so for Bruggen had to go, basically. Morgan Rogers, just been blanking left, right, and center lately, even against Everton at home. I expected Aston Villa to have a good result, but now they're struggling. Boubacar Kamara seems to be out for the season now as well. Aston Villa maybe in like a bit of a dip in terms of form, so I feel decent enough going without Rodgers for now, but eventually he's going to be good, especially like leading up to Game Week 31. He's going to have some really nice fixtures, and Game Week 31 he has a really good fixture as well. So I do like him long term. I don't think he's a sell if you have him not on the wildcard, but on the wildcard, yeah, probably going to go without him because there are so many other midfielders that I am really enthused by in this, in this game week basically and beyond. Senesi as well in defense. I think wildcarders now in Game Week 23 or Game Week 24. Senesi is going to be really good for like the next game weeks leading up to Game Week 31, but after that they're really bad. So if you don't have if you're planning on keeping your wildcard until Game Week 32, Senesi is a really good player to get. But if you are wildcarding now and you can't wildcard him out in Game Week 32, he's probably not the best option. But he has really good fixtures going forward, of course. Bournemouth, not really sure about them going forward now, especially if they don't have Tavernier either. Offensively, they're going to struggle without Semenyo, and they have been in a bit of a downward spiral this season. So yeah, I just don't trust Senesi enough, especially for a price of like 4.8 that he is now. It's a bit too steep, I think, for me to have him in the squad. I think Mukiele is just a better option, for example. Yeah, Senesi is still a decent pick, but I think the fact that I'm wildcarding now, and I can't wildcard in Game Week 32 now, it just makes me go without Senesi, but he could punish me badly leading up to Game Week 31, but we'll see. Mickey van de Ven, really easy to drop him. He's been good lately, and then West Ham, he struggled again and conceded twice against West Ham. Spurs are just awful currently, even though they beat Dortmund now in the Champions League, and it seems like they might go through in the Champions League without getting into the playoff phase, which is kind of crazy. It is something about Spurs now. Maybe they are just like a European team because they won the Europa League last season. They're really good in the Champions League, but they've been really bad in the Premier League. But yeah, Van de Ven, really no reason to just talk about him because Spurs are just that awful, and yeah, he's not that good of a pick anymore. But he had some really good fixtures the past few game weeks, and he has been a good member of the wildcard drafts. He has been good if you brought him in like 4 game weeks ago. He's been amazing for you. But going forward, they have Burnley now, which is a good fixture, of course, but after that, really bad fixtures, and you're going to look to sell him at that point because Spurs have awful fixtures after Game Week 33. So yeah, those are the players that I've dropped out. Now let's talk about the on the cusp section before we end this video. But I'm going to talk more about the wildcard draft in my team section video, of course, and also on the FPL Scope podcast with Kevin. He's also wildcarding this week, so there's going to be more wildcard discussions for sure with another perspective later on in this week on this YouTube channel. So subscribe if you haven't already to get basically the notification for that as well. So yeah, but now let's go on to the on the cusp section with the 3 players that I'm considering: 1 defender, 1 midfielder, and 1 forward. Really not considering the forward player that much, but the defender and midfielder, I actually have 2 midfielders that I would want to talk about as well in this section, even though I only have listed 1. But yeah, let's talk about the 3 players that were close to making the squad but haven't so far, but could still make it by the time the deadline comes around. So in defense, Mark Guéhi, I think the fact that I just saw Man City now lose against Bodø Glimt 3-1 in the Champions League makes me a little bit more hesitant to have players from City. Maybe they are just exhausted now and they're struggling. But with Guéhi coming in and Semenyo coming in, that could give them a huge boost in the league at least. And Guéhi is just a fantastic option. Like, he's going to play every single game. He has to for City. Just like Semenyo, he's not going to play in the Champions League until March, most likely, assuming they win the last game in the group stage and they avoid the playoff section in the Champions League. And with him not playing until March, it's going to give him some time to basically get into the squad, and he's going to play a lot of matches because they are struggling with a lot of defenders out. But I think Cusp is actually a really good defender, and Guéhi is a good defender. One of the main reasons that they lost against Bodø Glimt is the fact that Alain, the really young center back, had some pretty massive mistakes that really cost them early in that game. So with Guéhi in the squad now, Semenyo also in the squad, I think they're going to be getting a bit of a boost, especially with the nice fixtures that they have coming up in the league. So Guéhi is someone that I'm really considering. He's going to go down to 5.2 now as well in price. So if he starts every single game for City at 5.2 with the amount of goals and assists that he has this season and bonus point potential, I think he is still a good option that I would consider. But for now, gone with his previous teammate in Muñoz instead for that price. But I am tempted with Guéhi. He is on my mind because I think City could still come back to form. And if City are still a good team, he could be a really good value. But yeah, I'm just a bit hesitant with him now because City just haven't looked impressive lately. But he is someone that I'm still considering in my squad before the deadline comes around on Saturday, basically. In midfield, I have two midfielders actually. I've listed one of them, and that is Brian Mbeumo. He looked absolutely fantastic against Man City as well, playing as a striker for Man United. So it seems kind of crazy to go without him, but that's the sacrifice you have to make to bring in Palmer into the squad. Could potentially have Mbeumo rather than Semenyo, but I think with the Wolves fixture now especially, I want to see if Semenyo and Man City can prove themselves. Because he has really high upside if he is a starting player in 90 minutes for Man City, which I assume he will be without Champions League, Semenyo. So yeah, but Mbeumo is a fantastic player, of course. He has Arsenal now away, so I can wait that one game week, but I am tempted to go either from Semenyo to Mbeumo or Palmer to Mbeumo, potentially next game week as well. The wildcard draft, it would most likely be Palmer out because I think Semenyo is still like his number 7 pick in this draft. But after the Wolves game, if I was wildcarding game week 24, I would most likely have Mbeumo over Semenyo and still have Palmer potentially. But Mbeumo just looking really, really good. Also, if I do go from Palmer to Mbeumo, that will give me enough money to upgrade Miley to Iliman Ndiaye, who's going to be back from African combinations now. I think he's looking really good. But I think the Everton fixtures around Game Week 31, where I don't have the extra wildcard, of course, in Game Week 32, like most other people will have, the fixtures aren't the best for Everton. So yeah, I like Iliman Ndiaye. He's someone that can get DEFCON points. He is on penalties. He's going to play for... I think Everton are going to be better off as the season goes along with Brantford coming back in defense as well. Iliman Ndiaye and Gana Gueye coming back from African combinations. I think Everton will have a good season and end in the top half. So he is tempting, but currently with Palmer in the squad, I don't have enough room. And even if I do go with Mbeumo, I could still go with a cheaper option like Garner or potentially even Dewsbury Hall is going to be back eventually for a cheaper price at that Everton team as well. Or just go without Everton players entirely. That could also be the case. But yeah, Mbeumo and Ndiaye are midfielders that I'm considering. When it comes to forwards I'm considering, it's not really that many other people. I think Ekitike is still a good player to have. I think he's been supremely unlucky not to get more goals the last few game weeks. Even now against Burnley at home, could have easily had more points in that game as well, but he's blanked for the 3rd home game against easy opposition in a row, basically. Like he had an away game in between there, but against Arsenal. But I think Ekitike, he's been really unlucky not to get more points lately. And I think the Liverpool fixtures are like not ideal, of course, but they're not too bad either. I think they have like Bournemouth and stuff. Newcastle at home is a different kind of ball game than Newcastle away. And Man City now as well, at home to Man City. That could still be a decent match if Man City are completely exhausted. That could be a game where Liverpool really prove their worth. So Ekitike is still a good option, but he's just too expensive to have in this squad. I mean, even if I went without Palmer, it would be kind of difficult to bring him in. And also, I really like Haaland, I really like Thiago, and I really like Kroupi Jr. So yeah, Ekitike, not really someone that I'm considering that much, but I think he's still a good option to have. If you have him in your squad already, I wouldn't really break the bank or try to sell him. I would probably keep him for a little while longer, but I do understand it. Like he's part of the reason why I did wildcard myself, because I was kind of frustrated with him, but I think it could potentially be a mistake to sell him as well. But he's going to be good, and especially when Game Week 28. That's also why I kind of like to have Palmer in the squad, because Palmer is someone that has really nice fixtures now in the next 4 game weeks. And then from Game Week 27 or Game Week 28 onwards, I can't remember exactly which one it is, you can downgrade Palmer and upgrade, for example, Kroupi Jr. to Ekitike, because Ekitike is going to have really good fixtures from Game Week 28 onwards. So that's something that I'm looking at. But for now, I'm going to go without Ekitike, I think. But he is someone that I am kind of reluctantly selling as well on the wildcard. But yeah. So that is basically it for this video. But like I said, there's going to be the FPL Scope podcast with Kevin, who's also wildcarding. I'm also going to talk about the wildcard in the team section video on Friday. I'm going to talk more about the reasons why I decided to pull the trigger and use the chip as it stands. So yeah, pay attention to that. Subscribe to get notified basically of the video on your YouTube basically. Comment down below if you have any questions or any tips and tricks and stuff like that, any criticism or praise for the channel, whatever. I do like all comments pretty much the same. Like some comments are of course better than others, but I do appreciate anyone that tries to interact with me in this YouTube channel basically. Like the video if you haven't, and subscribe like I said a couple times now already. Thank you for watching as always. See you next time. Bye.